Not often there's good news for YouTube that is good news for those of us who are on YouTube. However, this is a bit of an exception. The higher regional court in Vienna, Austria, has ruled that YouTube cannot be held liable for copyright violations. And this is a reversal of a lower court decision which determined that YouTube takes an active role in the content, which prevents it from having a what's called safe harbor protection. And the decision that YouTube is not responsible for copyright will, they say, those in opposition will take it to the Supreme Court. Essentially, it works like this: YouTube doesn't create the content that's on YouTube. It's not like a television channel where they pay for the programming or they pay for the rights to use the programming. You, as the creator, put your content on their platform, and thus you are responsible for following copyright laws. However, many large industries have argued that YouTube is actually responsible. Mainly, the reason they want to do this is because, say you upload content that violates copyright. The copyright holder would then have to come after you for that violation. They would have to take you to court. Now imagine how many copyright violations there are in a day, a single day on YouTube. Every person who uploads some song with a bunch of images they found on Google and think that's creating content. Now, normally you're allowed to use that song because the revenue generated from it goes to the creator of the song. Now, if that wasn't there, it would be a matter of copyright. There are probably thousands of copyright issues that pass through YouTube in a single day. Now, could, say, a music label actually go after every single person who ever uploaded the song? It would be impossible. They could not afford to sue every single one of those people. In other words, that freedom of information, the ability to broadcast yourself, is so great that it goes beyond the actual tangible legal abilities of the copyright holders. So what they do instead is pressure YouTube to enforce the copyright for them so it never enters into a court. So essentially, YouTube would be doing the dirty work for them. And this was a battle that took place between copyright holders and YouTube. Then later it was decided that YouTube was legally liable for the copyrights. Now YouTube had the ability to take things down on copyright grounds, even though they weren't actually involved in the creation or the reuse of copyrighted content. If they were going to be hung out for it, then they weren't going to allow it to happen, obviously, in order to protect themselves. What this ruling essentially states is that YouTube is not responsible when other people violate anything that's copyright. So YouTube doesn't have to worry about being come after. I mean, YouTube is obviously still going to work in favor of copyright holders, but this takes much of the impetuousness out of it, much of the urgency for them to do something, because they are not going to be held liable. So this is kind of good for us. In the long run, will this add up to anything really significant for YouTube creators? No, it's going to be business as usual. But this will make things a bit easier for us, because it makes things easier for YouTube not to be held liable. Now, of course, this is only a court in Austria and does not apply to the entire world. That would be pretty nice. But this might be used as a test case to be used in perhaps larger issues, because copyright across international borders is very difficult to enforce and very difficult to... Well, the law is very difficult. For example, the way Press TV works is that they're not signed on to any international copyright laws or associations or agreements. So they can legally reuse anything that they want, because they're not signed on to any like intellectual property treaties that would ban them from doing so. But obviously, once you start doing that and broadcasting in other countries, you have problems. I'm just trying to express the difficulty in enforcing and putting together copyright on an international basis. So for us, nothing's really going to happen. We don't have the actual freedom of speech, the right to fair use that all of us do have. For example, many people blatantly abuse that copyright system, and that's why the rest of us have such a terrible time with it. People think that if they take a bunch of different clips from something, that constitutes fair use. It's not transformative. It's not fair use at all. Or people just re-upload something in its entirety and then claim it's for educational purposes. I mean, they must think that a judge would be a complete idiot to believe that simply uploading someone else's content is educational. It is fair to do so for criticism, actual real academic work, and news broadcasting. Not that I would want to use that all the time. But again, even I'm not immune from the YouTube copyright system. Normally, if a company or somebody does a news report on an interview that a politician did with another channel, then they could use clips from that when reporting it. But I can't, because I don't have the multi-billion-dollar money machine that, say, RT, CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News has behind them. But, that's coming from such a small position as I am, obviously. That doesn't make me any different than any other YouTuber. But in the end, this isn't going to mean very much for us, but it's still technically positive in our direction. So assuming this doesn't get overturned by the Supreme Court inside of Austria, this is at least a step in the right direction for a lot of us in our right to fair use. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.